Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. This is a kind of an unplanned teardown of the Jumper T16 remote controller, and the reason I had to tear it apart is because this part, which is used to configure the remote controller, is no longer usable. So basically what happened, I tried to play around with the settings and suddenly this part just sunk in, and what I discovered is that it was broken inside, so it's supposed to be connected to this end over here. However, it was broken, so of course it's no longer functional, and there was a little plastic part that was attached to this end, which obviously broke, and now I'm going to attempt to try to fix it. Of course, I'm also going to talk to Jumper about it, because I think that if it happened to me after not using the remote controller for a long time, it can happen to you, so hopefully they are going to be able to solve this issue, and hopefully I'll be able to fix it as well. What I plan to do is to remove some of the plastic from this part. Then I'm going to add an empty spacer, which is going to fit into this part over here. And then I'll be able to use it again. Of course, it's not an ideal fix, but hopefully I will manage to do it and then continue to try this remote controller. So now, after removing some of the plastic using a soldering iron, I'm going to put some UV glue inside, then place the M2 spacer inside, and now let it cure using a UV light. After making sure that it fits and also works, I made sure that it's properly secured using super glue because I don't feel like opening the remote controller again. Then I let it dry for about 5 minutes, and now I can put it back. As you can see, it's not aligned as good as it was before, but I just tested it and it's working properly, and you should be careful not to over tighten these two screws, because if it's not going to be aligned properly, if you are going to over tighten it, the button is going to be pressed when you are going to rotate the dial, so you can just untighten these two screws and then it should work well. Anyway, I recommend not to press this too hard, because the problem is that when you press it, you also press the shaft that controls the rotation, and that's the reason this part broke. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to let Jumper know about this issue, and hopefully they are going to make the shaft of this rotatable dial a little bit longer, and then it's going to make sure that it's not going to happen to you. Since I've already taken the Jumper T16 apart, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of its internal components. So the 4.3-inch LCD screen is located over here, and you can also find a lithium battery that is going to make sure that even when you run out of battery, the settings are going to be saved. All the switches and the internal parts are connected using ribbon cables, and you should be careful not to bend them, because otherwise you might damage them. Over here you can find a brushed motor, which is going to give you the haptic feedback. Over here, the micro SD card slot and the 2S balance connector. And finally, if you'd like to change between the default mode 2 to other modes, you will need to add over here the included gimbal parts, which I'm not going to do in this video. Now I'm going to show you how to put everything back together. First, I recommend to remove the rubber parts from the sides of the remote controller. Then place the back cover and make sure that the pin headers over here align with this cutout. You also need to make sure that the balance plug is properly aligned, and anyway, I recommend not to apply too much force. Then we can put back the rubber parts on the sides. Put back these 6 screws. Now we need to put this part in its position. Put back the rubber side grips. Then the multi-protocol TX. The battery, and finally the battery cover. Let's see that it powers up.
Welcome to JumperTX.
Let's see that the roller button is still working. And luckily, as you can see, it's properly functioning. Just as a reminder, opening your remote controller is probably going to void the warranty, so I recommend to first contact Jumper and see if they can help you out. As always, I thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it and you find it useful. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section down below, and I'll see you soon on my next videos. Goodbye.